So far, Gojo vs Sukuna has been nothing short of legendary, both in the community and also in the actual story itself. I mean, we've seen how the agendas have just gone absolutely wild, and I've seen a lot of crazy takes actually be thrown out because of this. Is Gojo going to win, or is Sukuna going to win? Or maybe it could be someone else. There's a lot of other people that can be the winner of a fight that they're not even included in. There's a lot of possibilities, and we'll be going into every single one in this video. So of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more JJK content, and be sure to check out No Operator, who'll be joining me today as well in this video. He makes fantastic JJK videos and at an amazing quality too, and he also makes other anime content such as Hell's Paradise, Bleach, Sakamoto Days, and other things. So if you love JJK and any of those anime, be sure to check him out. His links are in the description. And of course, thank you to the honorable and special members of the channel, Isekais and that guy Trey. Thank you guys very much. Alright, now I guess the first thing that we could start off with is Gojo winning, right? Gojo winning the fight, and he just fights the merger. I'll be straight up with you, man. I think this is the least likely path to happen.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think narratively, just everything that we've witnessed in Jujutsu Kaisen has pretty much led to, I mean, we'll talk about a bunch of different possibilities of how it could happen in this video, but it just seems like Gojo is going to be the one to lose this fight, because Sukuna is just such a strong antagonistic force. To have Gojo kind of triumph in this part of the story just seems so weird.
Yeah, especially because it would be so weird if Sukuna lost, right? And then we never get Yuji versus Sukuna. We never get Kashimo versus Sukuna. We never get Sukuna's backstory or anything like that, right? We just miss out on so much things. I get that there's a lot of narrative points for Gojo winning. I don't think they're nearly as important as, let's say, Yuji fighting Sukuna, right? The MC himself, or Kashimo fighting it. It would be a bit tragic, but also fitting for JJK if Gojo died before, not only before he could bury Geto himself, but if they both died on the same day, that would be kind of GEGE style.
I think it's very apparent too that the way that GEGE kind of even had almost more than half the story go about now without Gojo, because the story is 10 times more intensive without Gojo. And if you really think about it, if Sukuna does get taken out and our only main antagonistic force is Kenjaku, and the only kind of possibility he has of even bringing about the merger is taking everyone out besides him, now I feel like Gojo's gonna pretty much pop that pimple real quick, and I just don't see GEGE having that much of an easy victory for our protagonist.
Yeah, honestly, if Gojo wins, as much as I love Gojo, as much as I want him to win, and I've been pushing that Gojo is stronger than Heina or Sukuna, but it's 10 Shadows Sukuna. Of course he's strong, whether you think it's fraudulent or it's earned, right? That's a whole different debate. But it's just hard to imagine Gojo. It could be possible, but being stronger than Sukuna with the 10 Shadows, and then on top of that, just everything we mentioned before, the series would end in 5 chapters, right? So unfortunately, there's no chance Gojo wins. But that does get into the next contender, right? I guess the big one, Sukuna winning. And there's a lot of ways that he could do this, right? One that I just mentioned, maybe because he's just stronger. I think there's the other one where he switches to Megami to make him hesitate.
I think the funniest thing about the switching to Megami thing, and why I just don't think that's something that would stop Gojo, is because Gojo has this entire time stressed to the point that he goes, I don't care, I'm still gonna beat you up, I'm still gonna bring you within inches of death, because, and I think even as soon as he starts the fight with Sukuna, he even says, he goes, you messed up dying with Yuji in the very beginning of the series, because now I know you can come back from that. So now I know even if I kill you inside of Megami's body, I know you can just revive Megami. So I'll worry about that whole situation later. I'm just gonna kill you now. Because even in the latest chapter, right, when he hits him or thinks he hits him for that split second with Unlimited Void. Well, I didn't read the fully translated chapter, right? But it was something like, I need to take him out, take out his organs, his internal organs, his livers and everything. He's not hesitating for one split second.
I know, I feel you, right? I feel you. But it's the same way how I've been preaching since before this fight had started, right? That because of what Sukuna did with Hana, he's going to be using 10 Shadows, right? Whether it's fraudulent or not, again, agenda stuff, not about this video. But because he's someone who doesn't care about honor, pride, or any of these things. And it goes into his name, right? He's called the Honored One, but he's also called the Disgraced One at the same time. And it is cool because he's a villain through and through. He doesn't care, right? He'll do whatever it takes to win, kind of like Mahito. That's why I love both those guys. But I know it's such a scumbag move, but it's so fitting for Sukuna to try that. I mean, he already did it with Hana. And I know Gojo's, he himself said, he is not going to hesitate, right? He even, like you just said this chapter, he's going to rip out his kidney, liver, destroy his heart as well, and he's already ripped open his chest, and he says Megumi will tank it, but I just feel like even if it's just at 0.1 seconds, I mean, we've seen just 0.01 seconds can be important in this fight, even if it's just a tenth of a second, if Gojo just hesitates. I know he's done training for it, because he said he's done training, special training to beat Megumi. That's all it takes. It's just a split second of hesitation, seeing Megumi, remembering, you know, this is like, maybe you're like his older brother since he was a kid, or maybe like his father figure, but you know, probably just guardian figure. You've raised him, and
yeah,
maybe if Megumi's crying or saying, Gojo Sensei, please stop. Even for Gojo, I know he seems heartless, but he does care. He does care. He's not some psychopath. Maybe I'm wrong. But
funnily enough, though, the depressive state that Megumi's even in, I feel like he would be just like Yuji, be like, Gojo, please kill me. Just take me out. I killed my sister. I'm super sad.
Yeah.
But no, I can completely see Sukuna doing something like that. The one thing I will say, and it will be the last thing I say on this, is basically if Gojo, the strongest sorcerer in the modern era, fumbles the bag as bad as Hana Kurusu did, I will be having some personal words with GEGE. That's all I'll say.
Man, see, that's the funniest thing about all this. No matter what happens, right? It's something I love about the community. You can spin it to make either of the other characters look, let's say, bad, right? So you could say Gojo, you know, how is this guy hesitating? How, you know, it's kind of like he's just like Hana. But at the same time, you know, Sukuna, you know, it's very scummy. He needed this to win. Hana treatment? Oh, man. To be honest, though, I mean, because I was about to get into this next. I actually think he'll be treated worse than Hana, because this is like my original theory I've had for a long time, right? For many months, right? Before the fight even started, where I do think Sukuna is going to feed Gojo either his eyes, heart, or head into his stomach mouth that he has then. Maybe like absorb his cursed energy. No, it's cursed out would be too powerful, but maybe for some reason, because we still haven't seen that stomach mouth, right? And I want to hear what your opinion on this is, but just how do you think the fan base would react if Sukuna gets his forearms, right? He lifts Gojo up with two of them, and of his other two, he like rips Gojo's heart out or something crazy. Like, it's just a brutal death.
I definitely have been like envisioning Sukuna ripping out those extra two arms pretty much this entire fight. I definitely can foresee it happening. I mean, as far as it goes, like with Sukuna just devouring Gojo, that would be utterly brutal, especially with like pretty much not even just all the Jujutsu sorcerers, but like the entire world watching.
Oh, yeah.
Just witness pure, just that utter carnal cannibalism in 4K.
Yeah, imagine being Yuta or Yuji, and you know you're up next, and you're like, Gojo got done like this. We have to go fight him now, you know? Sukuna.
Yuta's been surprised Pikachu face this entire fight, so...
Yeah, oh man, Yuta, sweating. Someone get this man a towel, man. He is just, every panel that comes across this man, he's just sweating. I don't blame him though. If I said, you know, if you need help, I'll switch in, I would be just as nervous.
He's sitting there, please God, Gojo, finish this. I don't want to jump in.
Yeah, it is rough, but you know, that's the reasoning for Sukuna. You know, narratively, Yuji getting his fight, and there was also that, I don't know if you've seen it, but the volume extra where there's someone headless and they are watching a child on a swing, like their own child, and people theorize like that's Megumi, and the headless man watching is Gojo, and Gojo is going to lose his head.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I mean, that's definitely been, it seems like Sukuna's main goal this entire fight has been trying to decapitate Gojo. He's tried multiple times.
It does get into the next part where, I doubt it, I really doubt this, right? But I guess in some world, Gojo wins, right? Kenjaku can either sneak in, and he could either sneak Gojo, he could take Sukuna's body for the merger, which is, if it's even possible, a whole different video. Like, if you think it's impossible or possible, you just go check that one out. It's a lot to discuss here. Or maybe even Kenjaku, and I'd love to hear what you think about this, maybe taking Gojo into the merger, right? Because we know that to reject the merger, you need to have cursed energy, and you can do it with your willpower. Could someone actually reject the merger if they're on death's door?
I feel like Kenjaku taking the win is definitely something that is a possibility, and we were kind of talking before the video a little bit about how it would be like similar to the Kaguya treatment, and like I feel like this would be a Kaguya treatment that would be acceptable. The fandom would be completely okay with it, specifically because the way that Jujutsu Kaisen is, there's so many different twists and turns, and I feel like a lot of the greatest moments are always preceded afterwards with moments of wild card. We don't even know what could possibly happen. Like when Sukuna first took over Megami, I don't know about you, but I remember sitting here going, where does the story go from here?
Same.
Where are we going to even begin to try and handle this problem that we're facing right now? So I feel like Kenjaku, whether he takes Gojo's power, takes Sukuna's power, and in a sense, I mean taking their power, I mean, you know, like you said, taking their bodies or curse spirit manipulating them somehow to take control of them and gain their powers. If that did happen, not only would it be something that, one, has probably been foreshadowed and Kenjaku's probably been planning from the very beginning. Two, it would give Kenjaku that edge to be the main final antagonist that he needs, because I know right now there are a lot of doubts, even though I still think Kenjaku is an insane and absolute powerful person. For just, if you need any more proof, watch him survive that black hole from Yuki.
An infinite mass punch as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, it would give him that extra edge and to make him that final antagonistic villain that everyone would be like, yeah, I see him, that he deserves it. He's powerful enough to take on everyone else in the series now. For
sure. I mean, exactly like you said with the Kage, I think it's the best way to actually say it, where I've seen people say, oh, because I made a video on this in the past and the comments were filled with, but that's just going to be Kaguya 2.0, is specifically the curse spirit manipulation video, and like how people would hate it. But it goes exactly into what you said, where this is a character that has been the villain since the very beginning. It's been foreshadowed since the very beginning. He is known to be planning. It would, at least in terms of writing, make a lot more sense and be so much more easier to accept. But I can, like, whether he takes Gojo's body or Sukuna's body, or he absorbs Sukuna for the merger via curse spirit manipulation, or he takes Gojo into the merger just via Tengen's barrier, and because once the merger starts, Gojo would have no way to reject it, just as none of the other humans in Japan could, if Gojo's on death's door, and if that's the case. I can imagine a lot of Gojo fans and Sukuna fans, even if it makes sense, would still be very upset. I mean, we've even seen in this entire fight how it's gone from the beginning, where even if one character's dominating completely, like if Gojo's dominating a chapter, or if Sukuna's dominating a chapter, the other fan base, and maybe I'm a bit guilty of this, but the other fan base does spin it in a way to say, oh, no, Gojo's fine, you know? Like, Sukuna gets bodied this chapter, I've seen Sukuna fans spin it to say he's been dominating. And in previous chapters, Gojo's gone absolutely throttled, right? Like, just no ifs and buts. And even I said, oh, you know, maybe it's not too bad. But I can imagine the super fans would be very upset.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one thing that, like you said it, you hit the nail on the head. One thing that I've also learned in the community is that no matter what happens, at this point in the story, because we are so far into things and because we may not necessarily be in what is considered the final arc, but we are very close towards the end of the story, and we're getting to a portion of the story where certain theories may not come to fruition. Certain characters may not be getting the development that people want, or may not have the ending that people want. So we're at a point in the story where there's always going to be people that are unsatisfied with things that happen. I feel like we kind of hit that mark of the story as soon as we reached around chapter 200 with the Yuki Choso and Kenjaku fight. I feel like from here there's been a lot of different things that have been dividing people.
But yeah, I completely agree. It's one of those things, no matter what happens, right? If everyone lives, people will be upset saying it's a Mickey Mouse ending. If too many people die, the fans of these characters, let's say Yuta dies or Hakari dies, those fans will be like, oh, this is horrible, I'm dropping JJK. Exactly the same thing with Sukuna and Gojo. It's a situation where you can't really win. No matter what, there's going to be a lot of people upset. And yeah, we are both prepared for that, for sure, when that shitstorm starts. But
110%. I was honestly surprised, because I feel like a lot of the community, I feel like it's always a very vocal minority. Exactly. Because like you said, like I was genuinely surprised that a lot of people were, you know, like you said, saying that Gojo was doing well or Sukuna was doing well during certain chapters when there were obviously different things going on, or people were very biased in their thoughts. I did a poll, and the poll consisted of like almost 2,600 people. You know, the poll was split Gojo winning like 67% over Sukuna.
Really?
I was genuinely surprised by that, because I feel like the Sukuna fans are normally the people that you see the most in the community. So I genuinely thought it was very interesting. I was like, wow, that really speaks for, like, there really is like a very silent majority, or people that like I was really shocked to think that, like, especially after the chapter that we just got, that people still felt 67% out of over 2,500 people still thought Gojo would win.
I think you've just summed that up so well. A silent majority compared to a vocal minority is truly, literally Gojo and Sukuna's fan bases. Because I will make a post saying Gojo is a fraud. Fraud Freudian slip. No way. I'll keep that in because it would make the comments interesting. But I make posts saying Sukuna's a fraud. Sukuna this. Obviously, keep in mind, like I always clarify. People still don't care, but I clarify. These are just jokes, and yeah, just jokes and having fun. And obviously, the nuance and analysis part, like we've been talking about, is completely different. But when I do make these jokes all the time, right? They get so many likes, but I do see that the replies, like so many are Sukuna fans who are very upset or angry. But it doesn't make sense considering the amount of people that like the post of Gojo winning or like the post of Sukuna being a fraud. Yeah, it really does feel like there's just way more. It's like Yuji. I don't know if you've ever noticed. I've spoken to other YouTubers about this, where Yuji, he doesn't have a vocal fan base at all. Like people like his character, but they don't really defend him that much. They don't really talk about him too much. But
yeah, dude.
Whenever we make a video on Yuji, it's like for a lot of the like I've told so many YouTubers, it's always like the biggest videos, or it always does well.
The UG view machine.
Yeah, it's literally the silent majority. So I feel like that's, especially with Sukuna not even being in the top. Granted that was Japan, but not even in the top 10 in the popularity poll. I think he was barely 15th. So people are gonna be mad whoever wins. And I mean, there is still another agenda, right? Where maybe, and this is so unlikely, but maybe Kashimo steps in to help Gojo during the fight, which is near impossible, right, for so many reasons, but I guess that's how that... Gojo would be a fraud if that happens. Well, they both...
Yeah, that would be upsetting if Kashimo had to come in and save Gojo. Yeah. Of all people, if Kashimo had to step in. I mean, well, we don't know what his one curse technique is, but... Oof.
I'm telling you, man, like, I made so many, especially recently, I remade it. Kashimo with his curse technique, he's gonna be stronger than Gojo and Sukuna. I know it's crazy, alright, but there's so much reasoning to it. I won't get into Kashimo and the Vasavi, Shakti theory, and how Sukuna's Arjuna with the Varja, and what in the actual mythology where it's based off of, where it's everything is paralleled one-to-one, where the guy Karna that Kashimo was based off of, right, he defeats Gato Kacha, I think that's how you say it, right, which is basically a god that Sukuna, whose Arjuna has underneath him, and he uses his one-time lightning attack on Gaku Kacha, which has the ability to adapt to every and all phenomena, just like Mahoraga, and you can't beat Sukuna in the end. But I guess, to be fair, that does make sense, because if Kashimo was able to get rid of Mahoraga, Sukuna's been injured and wasted a lot of cursed energy already with Gojo. He'd spend more with Kashimo, and he loses Mahoraga. It does give the rest of a chance to maybe come out and pull something, especially Yuji.
Yeah, Mahoraga, I mean, even Gojo mentions it when he hasn't seen Mahoraga come out yet. He goes, I know Sukuna should know that that's going to be a big counter for me. I'm surprised he hasn't used it. So even Gojo is aware that Mahoraga is a big issue for him, which if Gojo is acknowledging that he's a big issue, he's clearly a huge issue. So Kashimo stepping into that point would free up a lot of avenues, not just for Gojo, but as you mentioned, for literally every single person that comes afterwards, because I mean, Sukuna has taken out someone like Yorozu, who I feel was like a pretty strong character, all things considered. At least when you put her up against characters that we've seen, she definitely ranks above a lot of them. And he was just easily able to take a domain that even Yorozu admitted should have literally vaporized Sukuna, whatever the technique should have done. It should have literally caused him to disappear, and he just like swapped to Mahoraga, ended it, and called the entire battle a day. So it's going to be an issue for anybody, especially if it's an issue for Gojo. So if Kashimo can do something about it, please step in right away. This is your chance.
It is pretty crazy to think that, because Yorozu has it, like, she opens her domain and she has the chance to kill Sukuna for a couple seconds, but you can see her panicking, like, why is Sukuna not doing this? And I think she did say she wants to kill Sukuna, but her sure hit would have, because it's infinite pressure, it would have atomized his body. There wouldn't even be, there wouldn't even be atoms left, right? It would just, his body would vanish.
Yeah, if she killed him, she wanted to kill him without him holding back. She wanted him to meet her in like a domain clash, and when he didn't, she was like, wait, why?
And even then, she wants the body, right? She's saying, oh, I'll marry the body after I kill you. It's pretty crazy to think, had she just not hesitated, because Gojo, the adaptation we've seen doesn't apply to him, Gojo would have, Sukuna would have died in that situation. But it's crazy, just a couple seconds, maybe a second or two of hesitation, it's over. Mahoraga comes out, and it's what we're seeing now with Gojo as well, where Gojo did say that Mahoruga's not a problem because he could just one-shot if it comes out right away, but he hasn't realized, and I know the editor said, what do his eyes see? Gojo, because I've seen people debating this online, even now, right, I've seen people debating this today, about Gojo did see the 10 shadows and he has been aware of it. I still think he never knew from the very beginning, because there is a line where Gojo says it's risky for Sukuna to do this, because had he just brought out the 10 shadows, it would really help him, like, to fight inside of the domain. It's extra power for him. And Gojo himself is confused because he doesn't know what we, the audience, know. He says, why is he taking this risky approach? There's no reason for it. Whereas we, the audience, can see that there is a reason for it, and the risk is that, yes, Sukuna doesn't have the 10 shadows in the moment, but for every second the battle goes on, and he's not using the 10 shadows, but keeping the shadow in his wheel, it's adapting to everything, slowly and surely, so that by the time Mahoraga does come out, it is already adapted. And especially after the Infinite Void, Sukuna gets hit by it. We can see it adapts the Infinite Void after Sukuna gets hit by it for a second. Man, this is... I can't even lie. I want to ask you, right? We saw even 15-fingered Sukuna could handle Mahoraga, even physically, right, without his curse technique. Do you think Maharaga's amped by Sukuna's cursed energy? Or do you think... Maharaga's going to one-shot Gojo next chapter as well, or Gojo's going to do really well?
It's possible Mahoraga might have gotten an amp, but I feel like the main reason Sukuna was able to topple Mahoraga when he first fought him was because he has the multiple curse techniques, or he had the fire arrow, the cleave, dismantle, whatever you want to consider the fire arrow, whether you want to call it a curse technique or not. If being honest, if Sukuna did not have that capability, he most likely wouldn't have won that fight. Let's be honest, Mahoraga eventually would have overtaken him and adapted to him. And I feel like that's what Gojo's weakness is where Gojo, his curse techniques are utterly OP, but once Mahoraga adapts to them, he doesn't really have anything else that he can do. And I feel like that's why Mahoraga is such a huge counter to Gojo, because once you adapt to Limitless, I mean, what else is there?
Maybe the Max Rainbow, right? Max Black, Max White, whatever, the crazy theories, But I guess, right, in terms of the whole Mahoraga situation, it's tough because even if Sukuna, and if the legends come true, and he pulls out the Malevolent Shadow Garden or the Chimera Shrine Garden, and it's a mixture of his own domains, or he can summon multiple Mahoragas in there, right? Even if Gojo does outscale one Mahoraga, because 15-fingered Sukuna was physically outscaling Mahoraga already, it's the fact that there may be multiple of them, and then it's also Mahoraga on top of the fact that it's with Sukuna, and potentially, because I know Mahoraga doesn't, unlike all the other Shikigami, Mahoraga doesn't have Sukuna's tattoos on him, so perhaps he isn't actually being amped by it, but it's unfortunate. I mean, because I always do believe that Shrine itself is stronger than 10 Shadows, just by a bit. It's not too much. I think they're all super relative on the same tier, but it's more so a case of, just like you said, right? Because I keep preaching this as well. 10 Shadows is just a technique that perfectly counters the 6 Eyes Limitless. Even if Shrine is a lot stronger and it has some attacks that are nuclear, right? The poison or some insane lightning or water, right? If he has the elements or wind or whatever. It doesn't matter because no matter how much stronger the Shrine is, even than 10 Shadows, it can't bypass, at least from what we've seen, right? We haven't seen anything, but assumedly, it can't bypass the neutral limitless, or he would have used it already. 10 Shadows, it's just the perfect skill set, as you said, to counter Gojo.
Yeah, completely 110%. There really is no other way around it. It's just tough.
Yeah. And then, let's say after the Gojo versus Sukuna fight, there are still a lot of possibilities, right? Kashimo versus Sukuna happening, or Yuji soul swapping, right? A lot of theories there. And I think you had a great specific theory, actually, for Yuji, what he's going to do with his soul swap ability as well.
Yeah, so it's just something that I heard. It's not necessarily something that I subscribe to, but I heard a lot of people where we've got that small little panel of Yuji and Kusakabe right before the Gojo versus Sukuna fight, where it was theorized that Yuji may have some kind of soul swapping technique or be able to take over people's souls or people's bodies. I've seen a lot of interesting takes that either halfway through the fight, after Gojo loses, or even this entire time, Yuji will swap with Gojo, and it will actually be Yuji that uses Gojo's body with the 6 eyes to beat Sukuna, and that will be the way that we get Yuji versus Sukuna. I don't know how likely that is, but I mean, hey, if the soul swapping curse technique is true, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
For sure. I mean, because as much as I'd love the soul swapping, I think what would be really cool if it's, let's say, a Kenjaku technique that has been passed down to him, specifically the body swapping, and he's got an extension or like a newer version of it because it's passed down. Maybe it awakened when he ate the death paintings because they have Kenjaku's blood. Maybe it's blood manipulation. It could be so many things, but regardless, I think if it really is the soul swapping though, specifically, I love the theory where Yuji is going to place his soul into Megami's body, right? And maybe he'd give Megami some talk, right? He'd be like, hey, I know your sister died. I know you killed all these people. I know everything has gone to ruin, but, you know, we got to go kick Sukuna's ass. So I'm not one for motivational talk. So Yuji will do his thing. And together, maybe Yuji and Megami inside of Sukuna's innate domain will defeat Sukuna while maybe another battle is going on the outside of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit where it was like the Super Buu scenario in Dragon Ball Z where they're kind of inside Buu fighting, or like you said, Seven Deadly Sins or Fairy Tail. Or is that a spoiler? Oh boy.
It's okay. I'll put a short spoiler text on the screen.
Okay. But either way, yeah. Like where there is a big battle going in on the inside, which could be Yuji and Megami fighting Sukuna inside the mental palace, while on the outside, Sukuna's also in a battle with either Gojo or Yuta Hikari and Maki, whatever is going on. But I think that the soul aspect of Yuji is such a great potential technique for him to have if he was to have anything. And I think using that in that way, and I also think, like you said, giving Megami that kind of motivational speech to kind of pull him out of the darkness, I think is a great parallel to what Megami's done for Yuji almost the entire series, where every time Yuji's been ready to be executed or has been ready to give up and not care anymore, like especially even before the culling game started, where Yuji was feeling very sorry for himself, Megami looked him in straight up and said, hey, you don't get to feel sorry for yourself. We're Jujutsu sorcerers, we keep carrying on. And it would just be a great it would be a great parallel if Yuji could say somewhat similar or even the exact same things to Megami to get him motivated to kind of jump back into the fight. Even though I am a subscriber to the fact Megami's gone forever. But that's beside the point. Again, no agendas.
I mean, there is always the possibility where, because it's GEGE, we don't see Megami until after it's all said and done and he's dying, right? So it could be very dark and we get his last words that way, but and he really is just gone forever. But because I know a lot of people, and I made like this whole video on this, and I am a big believer of the Yuji will get an awakening and he's going to be super powerful, maybe one of the strongest characters in the series. But one thing that I absolutely love about Yuji is his actual character moments. It's not his fighting moments. I know it's a shonen, and I've talked to a lot of Yuji fans. They much prefer if he gets like a big awakening moment. But for me, because like my favorite moment in all of Jujutsu Kaisen was when he said to Higuruma, yeah, that was me. I'm not gonna deny it or say I didn't do it. You know, I killed those people. And then we got guilty, execution, death penalty, right? If we get in, because that's the greatest moment still in Jujutsu Kaisen for me. If we get another moment similar with Yuji talking to Megami, and it's just some insanely good character dialogue, that would just be absolutely. I wouldn't even need Yuji to get a power up. I know most people want it, but that would just be amazing for his character. And then you get the fight of Megami inside of the innate domain. But there is always, like, you know, Kashimo stepping in, you know, as we discussed before, taking out Mahoraga or fighting Sukuna as well. But
so yeah, I don't know. Kashimo against Sukuna. I mean, even Kashimo's been, despite the fact that he said he's up next if Gojo dies, he's been watching this entire fight. Like every single time, he's like, "Damn, Sukuna is crazy. This guy is godlike." And like, I have always been of the crowd of people that think Kashimo would get turned into mincemeat against Sukuna.
Chance.
That's just always been me. I know I'm among company that feels different, but yeah.
Don't worry, there's a lot of people that follow exactly what you're saying. Like, I made the Kashimo video, and there's a lot of Kashimo believers. I shout you guys. But then there's a lot of Kashimo disbelievers. Shout you guys as well. But I don't know, that's my guy. I got him even more than my Gojo agenda. That's my number one agenda. And for various reasons, right? Like, because we've only seen false base Kashimo. We've never actually seen true base Kashimo, right? So, what is it? The 20% version that we saw fight Hikari. And even on stacking onto the true base, then getting binding vows. And it's a whole different topic, right? If you want to watch that.
Yep, the cult of Momo Nishimiya does not want to open that can of worms. We are of neutral parties. We're in alliance. We're good.
That makes sense, yeah. Man, if Kashimo gets cooked though, I will have to really go into hiding for a week if he actually just gets one shot. Oh man. But regardless, right? So conclusion for the video. No matter, like, even if Gojo wins, Sukuna still has to come out on top. Like, Sukuna would have to be the true victor, whether it's a scummy way, whether it's he's just stronger, right? Because as we discussed before, right, with Yuji, Kashimo, and all the narrative plotlines that are left, it's just got to be Sukuna that comes out on top. Correct.
I feel like Gojo, as we've seen again throughout more than half of the story, being in the series gives GEGE so much of a harder time adding stakes to things. I mean, when Gojo was in the series, we literally had curtains that were made specifically to keep everyone, to let everyone in besides Gojo. So like, in order for GEGE to write a cohesive story that has stakes, has tension, and has us questioning what the protagonist can even do against the antagonist, Gojo unfortunately has to be out of the story. And if Gojo either heavily injures or critically injures Sukuna, or nerfs him in some way where he can no longer use the 10 shadows or can no longer use an ability or something, I feel like that is a much more narratively sound thing for Gojo to do before he exits the story forever, rather than beating Sukuna and then moving on to beat Kenjaku and bury Geto, and we get, as you said, and probably plenty of other people will say, probably me included, we get a Disney ending.
Mickey Mouse ending.
Mickey Mouse ending, sure. Yeah, let's not piss off the corporate execs.
Yeah. No, for sure. Hey, shout out Mickey Mouse, but
yeah, he's free domain now. We're good.
There we go. True domain right there. But for sure, like, Yuji needs to shine. Kashimo needs to fight. I mean, yeah, Kashimo could weaken him. Gojo weakening him as well. And it does go into exactly what you said, right? How we need Sukuna, like, to come out on top of this, because imagine the main cast seeing how powerful he is. Let's say he brutally executes Gojo live in front of millions, and especially the Peanut Gallery is what people are calling the main group for some reason. Understandable though.
That's funny.
Yeah, understandable though. But the main cast would lose that safety net that they have. Like, now they are, for the first time, it's not like Gojo's sealed and we have the possibility of unsealing Gojo. For the first time ever, there truly is no Gojo like escape route or backup. They will be pushed to the brink, to the back, like they'll have their back against the wall, and only then will we see what they truly are capable of if they awaken. Like, if Panda gets the mythical, this whole theory I have, like mythical Tanuki and Kitsune Fox that he has inside him, which we saw, Yuji's power up, Yuta's power up, still getting his body jacked from Kenjaku, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And, Gojo can still lose, but maybe not die, which I doubt, and, maybe bury Geto that way. But I don't think GEGE's that kind, but we'll see. But
yeah, we know he hates him. So not looking good.
Yeah, that's just how you know, man. He's gonna get the most brutal death. GEGE just doesn't like Gojo. But regardless, let us know your thoughts, right? Maybe if you agree with anything we have to say, disagreed with points that we have to say, or have your own take about how Gojo vs Sukuna has that maybe we just never mentioned. Let us know in the comments down below. And of course, if you did enjoy the video, obviously be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and also be sure to check out No Operator, especially if you liked anything that he had to say. Trust me, he makes a lot of fantastic JJK content of just super high quality. You're gonna love it. And of course, if you love other anime such as Bleach, Hell's Paradise, and Sakamoto Days, you're just gonna love his channel. Check him out. And of course, thank you to all members of the channel as well. Much love, guys. It's much appreciated. But that is all. Thank you for watching, and take care.